Hello, everyone. I'm David Riggleman, Communications Director for the City of Las Vegas. Thanks for joining us for Access City Council. Coming up on this show, the new East Las Vegas Library opens its doors, and the Lucy, a unique living space, opens downtown. With me today to discuss these topics and much more is the councilman who represents Ward 3. You know who it is. It's Mr. Bob Coffin. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
Man,
We're
what's going on in Ward 3?
Well,
Holy
I'm almost done, you know. I'm nearing the end of my term, and yet big things are happening.
See, you've gotten the ball rolling and the momentum continues.
Well, I hope to hand off something really nice to the next people, whoever that is. It's going to be a councilwoman, we just don't know who.
It's exactly right, exactly right. If you had not heard, Councilman is not seeking re-election after 2 terms in office, but after how many years in politics?
36 years in public office, 28 at the legislature.
Wow.
That just seems to have been like yesterday.
Well, you've left quite a legacy in the city in your 8 years here. We're going to talk about that. First of all, we'll show everybody where Ward 3 is located. He knows it very, very well. In case you're not exactly sure, it's basically East Las Vegas, including much of our downtown area.
Yeah, it's the old part of town.
Yep.
It's the part I grew up in, and it's the one, you know, with great things and also bad things in terms of homelessness and things. We have it all. You want it, we've got it in downtown. But it's by far the best place to live.
You know, and Councilman, I think one of the reasons that you've been so effective as a councilman is because you have grown up in this area most of your entire life.
It helps because when people complain about something, I say, what are you complaining about? It's a lot better than it used to be.
Back in the day.
Or we're going back to where it was when I was a kid. One of the two, because the good things are coming back too, with people moving back into downtown.
Exactly. Well, speaking of good things, this is a really good thing. The new library, and this has been one of your legacy projects. The city tweeted this out. The East Las Vegas Library has officially opened at Bonanza and 28th Street, connecting 111,000 residents with resources like internet access, job development, and more. And Councilman, this facility, this was the official grand opening. This place is state-of-the-art and beautiful.
We had Dr. Ron Heesen there in the beginning. We had myself, of course, but we had everybody of note.
Yeah, great turnout.
A lot of elected office holders. Our 2 U.S. senators were around there.
Yeah, there's the ribbon cutting right there.
We're doing it. We can't say enough about it because it's the first library ever in this part of town. Yep. And since I was a kid, there was no library.
Ever, and that's incredible. That's an incredible thing because we have libraries all over, but this area of town absolutely underrepresented.
And this one, as promised, would be, at the state of the art. So Summerlin people, eat your heart out. This is definitely as good
really
as
nice.
or better than your place. But it is obviously, it even has books.
Yeah,
and
well,
a library.
Sure.
People think, library must not have books anymore, but we sure do. And we got state-of-the-art Wi-Fi. We have so many things that benefit
Recording studio.
the neighbors. Yeah, and even a podcast station.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, the kids today can learn how to broadcast to their friends or to the world if they want to create their own thing on the internet. I can't say enough about it because it wasn't easy to do because you had really, when you think about it, we had 4 governmental entities that had to swap land, but altogether there were 7 when you had the federal government and the state into the mix, the housing authority, the school district, the city.
The library district.
Who am I leaving out? The library district.
The library district.
Felipe Ortiz, who worked for me and just left to go to work for the state of Nevada, he helped put it together, but the genius, the numbers guy, was our city manager, Scott Adams.
It was literally kind of a land swap because this facility is located at the old housing authority property there on Bonanza.
Yeah, it was a combination of trading land, trading uses, moving into land that wasn't going to be used. We saved a bunch of trees. It was a popular thing because that's an old housing authority location.
Yeah, gorgeous tall trees.
But it was a blight. It was a blight on the neighborhood, and so now it's a beauty, and we can't thank enough. I can tell you what, Scott Adams could go to work for Goldman Sachs any day.
That's good.
As complex as this was.
It was one of those deals that had many moving parts. He did a wonderful job, no question. But Councilman, you were the driving force. You were the person who basically said, this area of town is long overdue for a library.
Yeah, and I keep giving credit to other people because they deserve it, but thank you very much for that. Sure, but the politicians always take credit, but the people behind the scenes did all the work.
And somebody's got to sometimes push them along, and you played that role. This was something near and
I'll
dear
accept
to you,
your praise blushingly. Thank you.
Very good. Well, congratulations. And Councilman, like you say, you're on a roll in Ward 3 because this is cool too. Matt Chavez tweeted this out. He said, the grand opening of the Writer's Block is in full swing in downtown Las Vegas. Ribbon cutting, live music, and many positive people from the Las Vegas community are present on the corner of 6th Street and Bonanza Avenue. Councilman, tell everybody what this
Well,
is.
first of all, this is a project by Beverly Rogers and people who know people in town who have been benefactors of things. Beverly Rogers is the benefactor. Her name is on the Black Mountain Institute at UNLV. She's given millions to these things. She's built this here as a combination residence for writers. There's Rory Reed, former county commissioner, Scott and Drew, the owners of the Writer's Block, because we didn't mention the Writer's Block store. And there is Beverly Rogers. Well, what happens is, I think people are going to know it more for the Writer's Block because the store that was open on East Fremont has moved here, and there were hundreds there that day. There's coffee in there, like a little soda fountain too, a place to sit and light food.
Nice facility, yeah.
Yeah, but
place to read, check out the books, gather, socialize.
It's a bookstore. I mean, it's twice as big as the old Writer's Block, which is the only independent new bookstore in the valley.
It is.
It is, and they're going to hang in there.
Everything else is a chain, exactly right.
How did they do it? Because they had plans, they had programs for kids and all ages, people who frankly want to learn how to read and instill in their children reading habits. And these guys made it easy, and they worked awfully hard. They were closed for 6 or 7 months because of lease problems on East Fremont, and then delays in building the Lucy. So the Lucy is many things. It's a center of culture, and it's a residence for artists.
Upstairs,
People who may be in residence at the Black Mountain Institute can live here. Rory Reed himself has moved into the Lucy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have really captured, a prominent person to live right downtown.
Wow.
Right above the business.
That's awesome.
This is kind of what's happening.
Councilman, you're exactly right. People are really embracing that. It's funny, kind of the way people did in cities many generations ago, where they'd live above the business. That's all kind of come back now.
Well, just remember 6th and Bonneville, if you don't forget anything. 6th and Bonneville for new books and a browsing experience. Come and meet friends there, have coffee or lunch too. In any event, I think it's going to be a real big hit, and I hope they all make a lot of money.
Well, Writer's Block is going to be a mainstay in the downtown.
It will regain its superiority.
Right. Come check it out. Another reason to come downtown, Councilman. So many cool things there these days. This is important. We talked about this on your last show. We honored Cesar Chavez Day back on March 23rd. You guys do a march every year over in Ward 3, generally at Freedom Park. Yes, we have for the past 4 or 5 years. This was created by a few people who not only live there, but also had real interest in Cesar Chavez. And in fact, we renamed, or we put a ceremonial name on Pecos Road in the city to call it Cesar Chavez, Camino Cesar Chavez, because Cesar, born in Yuma, great labor leader, organizer of poor people in California who picked crops for dirt cheap labor, were treated badly. He organized them. So the march is all about the march from the heartland of the Central Valley in California to Sacramento. To the state capital. Make a plea for better treatment for migrants as well as the domestic folks, the citizens who worked there for dirt. In any event, it's a tradition started by who now is an assemblywoman, Selena Torres, at 25 or 24, I don't want to make her old, was elected to the assembly. Yeah, we're going to see her in just a minute here, but here's this is the mark, so everybody's queuing up. And I think Cesar Chavez had family members that attended, correct? That's right. Mimi Quintero lives around here, and she is his niece. Wow. So there are family connections to Southern Nevada. So that park has been a little tough outside, in the wind and unpredictable weather. That's Mimi in the white jacket there, right? Right there. Yeah. And forget that guy. But at any event, I'm very proud to have hosted it. And I know it'll continue in good hands. There's Selena Torres speaking to the crowd. She came down from Carson City just for this ceremony today. Lots of entertainment. It was a really full afternoon. So the march, to replicate the march from the Central Valley to Sacramento, a couple 100 miles, they walked there and stopped at various places. And so the march recreates some of the stops
And there are ceremonial entertainment. People stop at these locations, and young students from school read what happened.
Yeah, that's great.
And then you move to another place, everybody gets together, assembles, and here's another part of the story.
Living history lesson,
Yeah, so that's how you teach it.
And Councilman, that took place in the early 70s? Is that when
it was actually late 60s,
late
yeah,
60s.
or maybe early 70s. I wish I could remember the exact date, I'm sorry, but it's a memorable thing. I mean, he was very famous 40-some years ago
Sure
already.
was, yeah, sure was. I certainly remember those days. And I think, too, his impact really is across the entire country, not just in the western United States.
He's a source of pride to Latinos everywhere. And people, I think sometimes they have to be reminded. He was born in Yuma.
Right.
The family was okay, well off, and then things happened. They went bad. So the family moved to California, and everybody went on their own. And they stuck together, as you could see, because Mimi's still around. And so they know their family, but they had to do what they had to do to live.
Yeah.
Cesar went up there and picked grapes and fruit, whatever else was growing in California, cotton, things like that. They picked it. But it was really a labor of love for him. He didn't do it for the money.
And to protect the workers, too, because they had no protection.
No.
The wages were whatever they were, and so it was tough. It was a tough way to...
Yeah, they founded the United Farm Workers, became the Farm Workers of America. Dolores Huerta was his partner in this project. She's been here before for the day. Yeah. She didn't make it this year. She's truly an icon. I hope she lives forever. She might be really getting up there in years, but she has not lost her energy.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look like it's great to see that Cesar's family still taking part here in Las Vegas to be part of the march.
They are, but they didn't start it really. I mean, it's people who admire Cesar Chavez who weren't born when Cesar Chavez was around.
Yeah, that's right.
Literally.
That's right.
He's already been dead long enough, for people not to know who he is, but we're keeping his name alive.
Yep.
As well we should.
All right. Well, good stuff, Councilman. And if you missed it this year, folks, don't worry. It'll be done again next year, usually right around the end of March each year. So it's always, you can tell because it's generally windy.
Always windy.
Right, exactly.
I want them to go indoors next time. I hope they do, but I won't be here to tell them again.
And Councilman, over at the Stratosphere, which is in your ward, of course, there on Las Vegas Boulevard, a new feature we want to tell everybody else. At the Tap House, there's a sculpture out front, too. Tell everybody about that.
There's sort of like two events compressed into one.
Yeah.
Just a few days apart. Yeah. The opening of the great Tap House at the Strat, which is a place selling many, many kinds of beers. Very relaxed. Yeah. And this is the date when the statue, or the, if you want to call it the monument, called Look, is there. Why do you call it Look? Well, folks, you can go down there yourself and see it.
Yeah, check it out. Now, this is the Tap House.
We are in the Tap House. We're with people that really know beer. They have fine selections there, and they've created a few. Chris is on the far left in that photo. I'm sorry, we didn't get everybody, but we didn't miss the beer. That's a very good beer.
Just from around the world, Councilman, or are they making their
domestic
own?
Beers?
Domestic
beers. They have everything. It's just a question of, do you like something special? Go there for you want your typical Michelob or your Budweiser product or your Coors.
Yeah.
If you want something different, go there too and see it all. And of course, it's the Strat downstairs, $100 million after the boys at Golden Gaming bought it.
They really invested a lot of money back into it.
What they have, and there's more coming. When this show opens outside, it's like a cirque show. It's going to be under a tent, a circus thing. It'll be opening in May, I think, and that means this month. I mean, it literally means. In a few weeks, people will be reading about that. Yeah. That's the tent outside, if people are curious about that part. So $100 million more than that, whatever they've spent. They've done it because they knew the Strat would be the great thing, and now it is, to me, the top of the Strip.
Yeah.
So the Strat is the top of the Strip, and it's the start of the Strip.
Well, it's an iconic structure. Every time you see the skyline of Las Vegas depicted in anything, the Stratosphere is always prominent there because you can't miss it. And it's just become part of the landscape.
People that promote the Strip down the old Strip, down the road, they always include the Stratosphere in their photos. It's almost as if it's any given moment it might be next to the MGM or Caesars or Bellagio. I don't know. It always is there. But we know it's really right in the heart of the city limits.
Sure.
So that's why we call it our start of the Strip.
That's exciting, Councilman, that they have invested that kind of money back into that property.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and we were spending a lot of money and a lot of effort trying to clean up the neighborhood back there. That's the neighborhood I knew as a child.
Yeah.
And of course it slipped.
It did.
Like a lot of other old apartment areas.
It did. But the community center that you've had a big hand in, that's one of your legacy projects as well.
Well,
where
I
we switched the park and the community center flip-flopped.
That was my first park, by the way, that little baby park there, on half an acre.
Yeah.
Right across from but it's all a benefit from Bob Stupak's estate and
Yeah.
Nevada Stupak, who manages it. They gave the land
They sure
for
did.
that. In fact, that was part of a land swap because they took part of an old park, which was nearer the boulevard, and it disappeared now. You don't know where that is, but it's under the Strat. And in the meantime, what they did is they gave us land down on Boston,
Down in Boston, a little
right,
farther.
for the park
west.
and the center, which is active all the time. Kids from the neighborhood constantly.
It's a great center. It's one of the most active that we have in the valley, in
It
the
is.
city for sure.
And like the library, it's in a neighborhood that needed services badly.
Yeah.
So just as that neighborhood is coming back down at 28th Street, so is the neighborhood behind the Strat at the Las Vegas Boulevard. People have called it the Naked City over the years, or they've tried to come up with more cosmopolitan sounding names, but I knew it as a Naked City as a kid.
That's what Richard Bryan, Senator Bryan, he's on the Centennial Commission, as you are. He always refers to it as the Naked City.
Well, a few ladies were sunbathing outside, and of course they didn't want tan lines to show.
Because they were generally in shows.
Showgirls.
Yeah,
They were showgirls. They didn't want awkward-looking lines.
Tan lines, yeah.
Breaking up the surface of their bodies, and consequently, they did some of that outside. Not blatantly. I mean, it wasn't like on the street.
right.
But you would think that everybody ran around naked as soon as they got in the neighborhood. Anyway, it was so safe. I would go over there, ride my bike there when I was in grammar school, and sell those chocolate bars to raise money for the school. Those 50-cent world-famous chocolate bars that are now
St.
$1.
Joe's, from St. Joe's.
From St. Joseph's, yeah, they're now $1 and they're less chocolate. But you get the point. I could go there, I could park my bike and walk door to door. Everybody had cash. I was always out of chocolates in half an hour.
Councilman, did it strike you as interesting that as a kid you were in that same area, and to this day you still live in that same area? That's, I mean, that's rare in this day and age. People generally don't do that. So
that's true, but there's an awful lot of people that have been there as long as I have. They just don't know it. I meet them when I go door to door, or I meet them at events, and it's their parents, the parents of my friends, or now, frankly, they're deceased, but my colleagues or people I knew and their children are in those houses. Grandchildren are in the neighborhood, so not everywhere. I don't blame a person for wanting to move to a brand new house someplace. Our housing stock is 60, 70, 80 years old in the older part of town. So it is a place to stay because everything is there. And I guess, I guess I got lucky. It happened by accident.
For sure. But I think that's one of the reasons that you know the ward so well, because you literally grew up there and have seen it evolve all these years and know what worked, what didn't work, what was there before, and who were the players as it all came together. So
I've gone to school with, knew them, played golf with them, whatever. I knew all those players then.
Well, Councilman, it's good stuff, and I'm glad to see so many new things in the ward. It's got to make you feel good as you're getting ready to depart office, that so many great projects either are online or coming online here in the near future. So good stuff.
Our federal delegation thinks a lot of all these things too. I mean, Titus and Cortez Masto.
Yeah, so Jackie Rosen in some of the
Senator
videos.
Rosen, they were all there at some of these things. This shows you that downtown Las Vegas is really on the radar.
It's interesting, Councilman, because not long back, 20 years ago, downtown was a place you generally wanted to avoid in many respects. Not anymore. Now it's the hip place to be again.
Well, it was neglected. You know, all the money in town, all the governmental money was being spent, and the attention was being spent on building the new places. The way the governmental budgets were built, they depended on construction money, consequently, and property tax. So consequently, everybody got all the attention.
Right.
And the low property tax base of the East, as it ages, it just didn't contribute as much money. And so people began to go where the money is. And so governmental services were tending to go where the money is. And it never, it just never dawned on anybody. It was all accidental. Nobody was racist. Nobody said, oh, there's a bunch of Mexicans living there or something. None of that stuff.
It's what happens in many cities. Time passes, neighborhoods get old, and then they see, if we're fortunate, you see that resurgence.
Well, you must be ahead of it. You must not wait till it gets that bad. Look at Detroit. They're trying their darndest. They're spending hundreds of millions. We don't have to do that. Right now, our biggest crisis downtown is homelessness,
Right.
and we're hoping to get the money, or at least get the permission from the legislature this year, with about 35 days left, to try to allow us, believe it or not, to raise enough money to take care of this homeless problem and get them out of the parks and the houses that they're squatting in, and where they're committing all this petty theft.
Well, sometimes
crime.
worse than that, Councilman, even arson. We've had some major fires. They're in old abandoned buildings and creating some real issues. Safety
Sometimes
issues.
you hear people say, "Oh, a tax, or you're going to raise my fees." Oh God, don't do that. But I forge ahead because we've got to do it. We just have to do it, or you just let things fall apart, and it's going to be like Detroit.
Yeah, and what we want to do is be like cities that have reinvented themselves. San Diego's gas lamp area, same area, had fallen apart, fallen on hard times, was a blight, completely turned around. City of New York has reinvented itself hundreds of times, and
Well, it's
we can do the same
400
here.
years old, so
It
I
is.
guess they could.
Exactly right, but it's had to, and
They have. And we're only 75, 80 years old in
Exactly.
terms of since the great growth happened right at World War II. So that's only 75, 80 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, our housing stock is old. But boy, you can double the length of the life of these homes with a little bit of work. And that's what's going on right now.
Exactly, it's good stuff. Well, it's really happening, and you were a big player in making it happen. So,
Thank you.
Councilman, there's some events coming up. I want to let everybody know we're into May now. So hey, May is the city's anniversary. May 15th is the founding of Las Vegas.
Eldorado
So
Parade.
Eldorado is going to be May 11th
I
this
marched
year.
in that as a kid.
I know you did.
You know?
I know you did.
And there is a rodeo around town happening. So
That's right.
just so everybody knows that.
So absolutely. So come on out, everybody. The parade itself is be Saturday, May 11th, 10 o'clock, downtown parade route there along 4th Street. It's a tradition going back to the 30s, right, Councilman? So we're going to keep it going again.
Pay
another
attention,
year.
friends. Yeah, your favorite go-to-work route is probably getting just, blocked again.
Just for one parade.
Got to
That's
put up
right.
with it.
That's right. And then, Councilman, we want to let everybody know it's YNAP time. This is really important, and we'll explain what YNAP is, but it's an opportunity to get some grant money. It's the Youth Neighborhood Association Partnership Program, otherwise known as YNAP, and this is where you can get grants of up to $1,000, but you have to match the city's contribution either through in-kind service or cash donation or whatever it might be. So we'll put up $1,000 if you put up $1,000, and you can work on some community project. The application period is August 1 through October 31st. So if you got a project out there, and we've seen, Councilman, some great projects in your neck of the woods.
We've got
really
got
good
them
stuff.
going on now, and you don't have to be a genius. We want the young people to write these grants.
Yeah.
We'll give them advice. We've got staff that will help them do it, help them learn how to help themselves.
Right.
And sometimes, usually, it's their first encounter with government and how to get the most out of government and how to do something for the neighborhood.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a long acronym, YNAP, but it stands for good stuff.
It does. Some of the projects in your ward, I recall, were beautification projects, painting, artwork, things like that, that the neighbors all
We have
got
garden
behind.
parties, safe summer nights, packages, care packages for homeless, and a mental health fair. I mean, these things are all, that was just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things happening today and have been for years under the YNAP program.
Yeah. So if that sounds like something that you or one of your young family members might be interested in doing, at the end of the show here, we'll tell you how to get in touch with Councilman Coffin's office and reach out. We'll tell you more about the YNAP program, the money that's available, and it can turn some really good things on in your neighborhood. So,
Or find me at this pool party coming up.
hey, now this is a tradition. The Fiesta Pool Party, May 25th, noon to 5. It's free. The Carlos Martinez Dario Hall Family Pool there at Gary Reese Freedom Park. And the tradition is that Councilman Coffin always jumps into the pool with the kids.
I lead the kids in, and I'm, don't tell them that, hey, whoever's watching this, don't tell the kids that I'm going to go in with my clothes on, but that's a tradition.
I know.
You have to do something to get their attention.
You do it every year.
So we try to make them wake up.
And the expressions on their faces, those that don't know it's coming, are always like, is he really going to jump in the pool with all his clothes on?
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, I darn near drowned last year. I had too much clothing on. I went to,
That's right.
after jumping in the shallow, and then I jumped off the high dive, and unfortunately, I barely made it to the side of the pool.
Your clothes are weighing you down. You got to wear something light.
I
so
know.
hope
I
for
was
warm
feeling
weather.
all of my 76 years at that moment.
I recall that. Yeah, off the diving board and all that.
Don't worry,
so.
you'll be there too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
30 years or so.
Well, I wish it was that far away. So, well, Councilman, that's good stuff. So, everybody, that is May 25th at the Fiesta Pool Party at the pool there in Ward 3, the Dario Hall, Carlos Martinez Pool, and Gary Reese Freedom Park. It's a beautiful facility if you've not been out there. It's got all kinds of water slides, and it's a great place.
It is. It really is.
So.
And we always keep it up to date. We brush it up every year so that, if any damage happened in the wintertime, we make sure that that's gone.
It's spick and span ready to go every year, yeah. So,
sure.
Well, Councilman, we want to tell everybody out there, hey, we always want to hear from you. So if you have something you'd like to share with Councilman Coffin, you can find him on Facebook and Twitter. And if you leave a comment, we may use one of your posts on our next show. You can also contact the Councilman by picking up the telephone, 702-229-4623, or send him an email. His email, and this is his personal email, everybody, is lvcouncilman@hotmail.com. And he will see that your need is taken care of. And I should tell you, everybody, just a reminder, this is his second to last show with us. He'll do one more show here of Access City Council, and then you're going to ride off into the sunset. So.
Tears are forbidden. I'm not dropping out. I'm not leaving town. I'm not leaving active political life, civic life. I intend to play to the extent I can, depending on my health. I intend to spend as much time as I can.
All right. Well, a bunch of people are going to hold you to that.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
So we'll see you back in 6 weeks for one more show from Councilman in Ward 3. But we want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Access City Council. Don't miss our next show beginning on May 9th with Ward 4 City Councilman Stavros Anthony. You can catch all of our KCLV programs now on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget, you can watch us live on the internet at kclv.tv. We'll see you next time around right here on KCLV, where we bring city government closer to you. Thanks for watching, everyone.